Now we're just heading across the bridge for the first time since the floods went down, just to see what state the path's in. The dogs are over there ahead of me. They've been trying to get across for weeks now, but at last we think we're going to be able to manage, although it's very muddy, I think, on this side of the pathway. We'll go and have a look and see how it is. Well, the water in the river is well down now. It's a long way down from where it was. And we can just see over here the tree that we climbed into the water to get away from the bridge in November, still tied happily up with our boat rope to the other trees around it. So it doesn't look like much more of a danger now. And the bridge itself is very muddy. Remember, it's had water pouring across it. The only bit that was visible at the height of the flood was the handrail, the very top level of the handrail. So we'll have to come across with brushes and sweep away some of the mud here. Everything looks pretty different over here. There's a mass of dead leaves that have been washed up by the water and then left. And it was only a few days ago that there were ducks happily swimming around on top of this area. Now this is still quite a problem. This is one of the most low-lying parts of the pathway. The bit between the bridge and the actual beginning of the circular pathway, and it's absolutely thick mud. So unless it dries very quickly, we'll need to do something about this, try and make it accessible again. And now we're out of the mud, and we're at the point where the pathway begins, and looking over here to the right, there is the pathway, completely undamaged. So let's hope that all the way around it's just as good as this. And there's one of the owl boxes, still perfectly safe up its tree. It was one of these that was brought across at the height of the floods by the rangers in there, who had to get into their diving suits and bring a boat across here to actually bring it over and fasten it up. But all looks fine now. And we have another kind of a box up there, different kind of bird. And we can hear the birds around now. So as the dark weather goes away and the spring comes, these birds are beginning to shout about it. And here is the big pond just off the path on the, what'll it be, the eastern side of the glebe. A somewhat bigger pond than it used to be, and you can just see through the trees right down to the loch. But here we've got a bit more of a problem. We have a very old tree that has just fallen in the gales that we had right across our pathway. So what we'll have to do is come out with the chainsaws, or perhaps the park people will help us out with that one, being much more used to removing dead wood. But just right across the pathway, not that it isn't quite easy to get around the edge of it at the moment. And here's more of the path, slightly muddy, but all completely intact. So none of the work that they did in the summer has been wasted. You can see it's an absolutely beautiful day, give you an idea of the pleasures of walking on the glebe, even at this time of year. This is the area on the far side of the glebe with the reed beds, which is normally the part that gets the water first of all. Not particularly from the river, but because it lies here. And as you can see, water's all gone. It's been replaced this morning by thick frost. And here's our little trailer. Exactly where it was before. Water can't have been too deep here. or it would have floated away. It's just waiting for us to start again. There are some parts of the path where the stones have become rather uneven. We'll have to come out with some rakes when the frost goes. At the moment it's frozen solid. But there are some rather interesting little circular marks here. Several of these. I'm not too sure what will have caused these, whether it's been the little sort of circular motion of the water, or animals perhaps, or birds. There are several of these little round marks in the path. Very interesting. Now we're on the stretch of the path that goes very near the river, and as you'll see, it's considerably more muddy here. Just go past me and my shadow, and the path itself has certainly collected a bit more mud down here. But I imagine the rain will help. I'm sure we're going to get quite a lot of rain to wash that away. Otherwise the path itself is solid enough. Very good thing though that Bovis came to finish it for us, because if it had just been dug out with no stones at all, it would have been in a very bad state just now. Thank you very much, Bovis. Now here's some more fallen wood. Now there's always been a tree, for as long as we've been here, that's been down at this place, but it does seem to me that there's a bit more than there was before. I'll have to go and find my old photographs of this to compare, but I think in the gales we've had, something else has come down to join that particular fallen tree. It doesn't stretch over the path though, and we're perfectly okay on this stretch. So here we are, back at the junction, at the high point. There's your cameraman again, and I'm happy to report to all our path builders from the summer that the path has survived all the floods and is in a good state for us starting off again this year. And here's the bridge after all that water, still fine and strong. And here's the bit that was hollowed out under the water that's now nicely filled up again, so that can't be a bad thing. And here, looking down through the water on the bridge, you can still see the old slate trackway crossing. Must have been here long before there was a bridge at all. It's been a little overswept by gravel and mud on the far side, but we can still see the bed of it, and you can also get a good view of our rubbish bin, which was floated up and sunk at the height of the floods. So we'll need to haul that out again. And who knows, if we don't get more rain, life might be reasonably back to normal.